We live in a weird era where shit from the past is cool again. Godzilla, Terminator, not so much. Even Jumanji is getting a sequel. And now, it's Jurassic Park's turn for a sequel. Oh, sorry, I mean, Jurassic World. It's hard to adjust to it no longer being called Park. But yeah, Jurassic World 2 Fallen Kingdom is coming out next year, and it stars the one and only God himself, the Goldblum. So what better way to celebrate than by going back to when they were still calling it Jurassic Park and looking at some of the old retro games. Because just like every other big franchise from the 90s, it was milked for all it's worth. Let's kick things off with Jurassic Park for the NES, released by Ocean in 1993. Oh, hello there. Oh god! What happened to your mouth? So this is Jurassic Park. You play as Alan Grant, which I only assume because he has a hat, holding a rocket launcher, running around the park shooting what I guess are supposed to be compies. I don't remember Grant having a rocket launcher in the movie. Could you imagine how easy getting out of the park would have been? Also, what's wrong with your feet? It looks like he's doing that thing you do when you're standing on ice in the middle of winter so you don't fall and break your ass. The point of the game is to collect key cards and dinosaur eggs, which in turn gives you more key cards so you can get into these buildings which have computer systems that operate various parts of the park. Scattered around the park are these question mark blocks like this shit's trying to be Super Mario or something, but the real crap on the cake is that some of them heal you, but some of them do this shit. Oh come on, that's not even fair. There's also raptors running around, but luckily they're dumb and can be killed pretty easily. Once you open the park gates, you get to the next level where you have to dodge an ungodly onslaught of Triceratops, but the fun part is that you have to make sure both you and little Timmy here are out of the way. If Timmy gets smushed, you take damage as well. And the moron doesn't even try to move, he just stands there like That's some bullshit right there. Oh well, we have a lot of games to cover, so let's move on. Next up is Jurassic Park on the Game Boy. And hey, at least they got the T-Rex's head right this time. And it's literally the exact same game. Everything, even down to the computer systems, is exactly the same. The only difference is that the camera is zoomed in more so you have even less of an idea of where you're going. Unfortunately, there just isn't a whole lot to say about this one. It's literally the same thing, it's just black and white this time. Next, we have Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo. When I was a kid, that opening music really set the mood and freaked me out before I even entered the game. Seriously, if any system is gonna get this right, it's gotta be the Super Nintendo. Oh, come on, it's the same thing as the last two. Ugh. Okay, it's not exactly the same. You once again play as Alan Grant, but this time they have the mercy to give you an electric taser thing that has no ammo usage, so you can shock the hell out of everything. Sure, it's weak as fuck, but it's better than having to constantly pick up ammo. That being said, you can get ammo, such as shotgun shells and rocket launcher rounds, and I especially love that these make the dinosaurs explode into pieces. The game also doesn't have a map, so most of the time you're just gonna wander around like an asshole, picking up eggs again, and get off this screen! Yeah, every time the characters talk to you, their damn speech bubble thing takes up half the fucking screen. Why was this necessary? I can't see what I'm doing! I will say this though, the music is really cool, especially this tune right here. I don't know, it just kind of reminds me of the Sticker Bush Symphony track from Donkey Kong Country 2. The soundtrack for this game, as well as a lot of the other retro Jurassic Park games, was done by Jonathan Dunn, who has since retired from the industry. Gotta give credit where credit is due. You did good, Dunn. In fact, I may say you done good. I'll shut up now. The biggest difference between this and the other two games is that when you go into a building, it goes into a first-person Doom-type mode where you run around rooms fighting raptors and Dilophosaurus things. I'm not gonna lie, when I was a kid, I hated coming in here because it scared the shit out of me. But it hasn't aged well. The frame rate is awful in this mode, and the controls just as bad. But back in the 90s, I mean, it was pretty cool. Next up was the Sega Genesis version of Jurassic Park. What the fuck was that? Holy crap, it's a side-scroller, thank merciful Christ, and a good-looking one at that. Once again, you are Dr. Grant, but this time you can jump around and climb ledges, but the jumping feels weird and not good. It's hard to explain, but when you jump, you can't adjust your trajectory like you can in other platformers, so this resulted in me missing a ton of jumps. You have a lot more weapons at your disposal this time, like the stun gun, a sleeping dart rifle, grenades. There is a good bit of variety. What's really annoying though is that every time you jump off anything, you tend to slide all over the place, and he always makes this really annoying grunting sound every time he touches anything. Also, sometimes it can be hard to tell what is part of the background and what is something you can actually stand on. And the music is, it's just awful. Actually, all the audio has a sort of farty noise to it. I mean, that was common with the Genesis back then though. But the best part about this game is that you can actually play as a raptor, and it makes the game a ton easier. Most stuff dies just from the raptor jumping on it, and most of the humans are really easy to kill. So if you're gonna play this game, be the raptor. A year later, Jurassic Park Rampage Edition was released on the Genesis as well. It has a new story that takes place right after the last Genesis game, but improves on the gameplay enough that this game is a far, far more enjoyable experience. The visuals are a little less detailed, but it works in this game's favor, and the jumping and movement mechanics have been drastically tweaked and feel a hell of a lot smoother now, thank God. Hell, even the music is a huge improvement. They also allow you to choose which level you want to play right off the bat. One of the levels is complete bullshit though. At any point, if you aren't quick enough to kill it or dodge it, a pterodactyl will grab your dumb ass and literally carry you all the way to the beginning of the fucking level again. And the best part about it is that you can actually take damage from all the crap you run into while this is happening. Another level has you riding on the back of Gallimimus? Is that what they called him? It reminds me a little bit of the Tauntauns from Empire Strikes Back. Yeehaw indeed. This level is probably the most enjoyable one I played, except I didn't realize until way later that you could duck. So I kept smacking into this bar and flying off. I also kept getting chased by helicopters that continually fire rockets and drop bombs on you, so that's fun. If you're going to play either of the games on the Genesis, definitely play the Rampage Edition. It's easily the definitive one. Next up, we got Jurassic Park for the Sega Game Gear. Remember that thing? I can't really seem to find any information on this game anywhere, so from what I can gather, it's either incredibly rare or only came out in Europe and Japan. And since I'm playing the Japanese version, I haven't got a clue what the plot is, so don't ask. Just like with the Rampage Edition, you can pick and choose which level you want to play. Each level starts with an on-rails shooting type of level where you have to fend off against an army of some kind of random dinosaur that slowly breaks pieces off your car. If you can manage this, you get treated with some side-scrolling gameplay, which honestly is pretty impressive for a handheld back then. You don't play as Grant this time, instead I think you're a woman? Ripley from Alien? I don't know, it's hard to tell. At the end of every level is a boss fight. In this one in particular, I'm fighting a Brontosaurus, and if I'm not mistaken, aren't those things supposed to be harmless? So why is this one trying to be such a dick? No joke, I spent 20 minutes on this boss, not because it kept beating me, but because I didn't have the faintest idea of what the hell I was supposed to do. You can't hit it with your gun, and it keeps coming up and going down over and over again. It wasn't until I finally realized I had the ability to change my fucking weapon to an air launcher that I was finally able to beat the stupid thing. Anyway, now we're leaving the Sega family and heading back over to the Super Nintendo for Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues. No, this has nothing to do with The Lost World, they just called it Jurassic Park 2. Whoa, voice acting, and a cutscene. I mean, yeah, it looks like a shitty Saturday morning cartoon you'd see on a public access channel, but hey, it wasn't too often you'd hear voice acting in a Super Nintendo game. Once again, it's a side-scroller, but this time around you play an unknown soldier. Once again, you get to choose which mission you take on, and again, you have access to a lot of different weapons, such as your trusty machine gun, a dart gun, and a taser that shoots bolts of electricity that you can charge up, Mega Man style. The controls are vastly improved over the two games on the Genesis. They just feel smooth and right. But now, instead of bullshit controls to deal with, you get to deal with raptors that appear and attack you so damn fast that you barely have enough time to blink before they've got you on the ground. Trust me when I say switch to your stun rifle and keep that baby charged, because it's the most effective weapon you've got. And some weapons are just completely ineffective against people. Look how many darts I fired into this guy. Human or not, you'd think getting pumped with that much tranquilizer would fucking kill somebody. Also, some of the enemy placement is just bullshit. Honestly, once you get the hang of how to deal with enemies popping out of nowhere and what weapons to use on who, this is probably one of the best old school Jurassic Park games you can play. But we've got one more to look at, and it just so happens to be the one that I'm most fond of. The Game Boy version of Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues. I remember getting this on Christmas Day back in 2001 or so. Yeah, I got a way outdated Game Boy game for Christmas 6 years after it was released, but that doesn't matter because it was awesome. This version shares the name of the Super Nintendo version only and is a completely different experience. In this one, you play as the Grant Man himself, equipped with a trusty shotgun. Everything about this game just feels smooth. The jumping mechanics, the movement, you can fire in all directions, it's great. The goal of each level is to collect enough key cards. Why is it always key cards? To open the door at the end of the level and move on. It's very simple. Along the way, there are also water sections where your shotgun magically transforms into a spear gun because to hell with logic. Want to see something I thought was funny when I was 10? At the end of each world is a boss. This one is the one that kicked my ass so many times as a child. Nowadays it's just a pushover, but I can't honestly tell you how proud I was to finally kill this son of a bitch. Of all the retro Jurassic Park games, this one has to be my favorite. The nostalgia is just strong with this one. And there you have it, retro Jurassic Park games. Now keep in mind, these are just a few of the tons of games that came out in the 90s. This didn't include the various arcade games, the PC games, the Sega CD game, or all the really obscure ones like the Amiga and shit, but I don't have those, so that's why I didn't cover them. Also, I know there were Lost World games on the PS1 and newer systems, but for the sake of this video, I wanted to just focus on the main 8 and 16-bit consoles. Maybe one day if I can get my hands on the other games, I'll cover them too.